Sumit, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about your ISB application experience. I see you're already in the ISB quarters right now and in the room, in your own room now at this point in time. So, which is wonderful. Having already reached the campus, I'm pretty sure the first 2 weeks have given you a sense of the excitement of even starting an MBA. Let's
Yes.
just start, Sumit, with a quick background, a little bit of your profile, so that everybody knows who you are.
My name is Sumeet Zadav. So I come from a manufacturing background, basically. I've worked for 5.5 years in L&T Defence, where my primary function was working on the shop floor, and we used to manufacture the weapons and engineering system for the Indian Armed Forces. But so I've been working there for 5.5 years. I was also involved in the digital transformation for the shop floor and other digital initiatives. So yeah, that was my background.
Bachelor's degree and your GMAT, please, as well.
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate from NIT Surat in electrical engineering in 2019, and I got a 655 on the GMAT Focus Edition.
Cool. Okay, good. So that kind of rounds up some of the core things about your profile. Now, tell me a little bit, Sumit, about when you were looking for consultants, you were exploring options, you had some questions in your mind, right? Where can I apply? Should I do India and abroad both? What should be my options? And also, what are the constraints that you felt about your profile that were worrying you at that point in time?
Yeah, so I will first touch upon why did I choose to go for a consultation. So earlier, gave my GMAT, I started applying on my own for the IIM Bangalore and the Ahmedabad programs. So like I did get interview invites from both of them, but I was not selected. So that was kind of a panic moment for me. That was the first time, in fact, I spoke with you also that day, that which was my first time when I got to know about consultations. So I was exploring multiple options. So I went to a GMAT club. I researched on the Quora and the internet as well. So one name that came was LilacBuds, and it was Mumbai based itself. So I felt like uh, let's start with them. I think I first talked with you itself, and that gave me a lot of clarity at that point in time, because everyone was saying that your GMAT score is not too high, so you should maybe try again. And you told me that my GMAT matter nahi karta. It's all about your profile, and you gave me that insight that yeah, your job background is unique, and that might be taken as a plus point. So that's why I chose Lilac Birds. Second thing which I observed was during my applications of IIM Bangalore and Ahmedabad, it was not checked by anyone. So it was like a biased point of view. My essays, they were good, but they were good for me. What Utkarsh, who was my mentor, he did a great job in guiding me through that process. It was not like spoon feeding me that you have to write all these things. Yeah, ye point add karo. He was more of a course character for me. He used to tell, no, this is not sounding right. You need to look for something much more impactful. He was not directly spoon feeding me. Ye bhai, तेरे को ये लिखना है. He was just course correcting me. So that was an organic process, because at the end of the day, when you write an essay, it should be you who should be writing it, right? It should not be someone telling you about your journey. So that helped me through all of this. So yeah,
No, I think that's amazing, and I think thank you very much for mentioning Utkarsh. But more importantly, I feel I'll rectify one thing. I didn't say that GMAT is not important. It's one part of the whole puzzle, right? So, and yes, your GMAT was a concern slightly because of the gem profile that you already had. But at the same
mm,
time, remember the amount of experience that you carried was far more than the ISB average. The total quality of experience, right? Coming from a defense sector is the uniqueness aspect. And a lot of students who work with us do not know what is their spike factor, do not know what is the factor that is going to make them unique compared to other applicants from GEM profiles. And you had also, as you said, done a lot of the digital transformation initiatives in a manufacturing intensive setup. Not a lot of manufacturing company folks even apply sometimes to the ISB program. So and L&T is of course a super reputed, well-known name. So I think if at anything, I would say you are a trailblazer, a pathfinder in that sense, in terms of being a new entrant or a unique profile. That gave us confidence that you might make it in. The second thing is in terms of Utkarsh, I think one of the key factors I would say was his main intent was to guide you on what are the stories that you can tell us about your workplace, about your academics, that you would that would tell that would tell the university about your skills, the soft skills that you possess, the transferable skills that you possess, and how that would connect well with your goals. So tell me a little bit about this whole brainstorming thing that you did on the essays with Utkarsh.
Yeah, so during our first session, I remember he just told me that jot down every small story which you think that has impacted your life or has taught you something. So I wrote down multiple stories right from my childhood. That was one aspect that it's kind of forced me to think within myself, uh, focus on the intent and focus on the learning of that stories. So I mentioned one thing. I forgot to mention one thing about my startup. So with this L&T job role, I also pursued a year of entrepreneurship. That was a failed idea, but that aspect also he told me that we can take it positively because there are even if it failed, that might create an impact. That might be a reason why you want to join ISB, right? So I wrote down stories about my startup as well in my essays. In fact, one essay did mention about this as an entire paragraph and what learnings I had and why I want to join ISB in order to cater for those learnings. So the brainstorming sessions mainly focused on me about how my story uh, will flow into the ISB ka picture and where ISB can fit in and play a role in my development. So yeah, when we followed a star pattern, so what was the situation, what was the task at hand, what actions did I undertook, and what are the results. So every story which I mentioned, I had to structure it in that format. So what was the situation and what was the learning at the end of the day. So first brainstorming session helped me understand my own strengths and weaknesses. So in the subsequent sessions with him, when we actually sat down for the essays discussion, it was very easy because I knew what stories I had to include in my application. So yeah, that was the whole process of brainstorming. So it was all about me and just being the mentor there. What is the most impactful part of that story?
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And also walk us through the interview preparation that you did for ISB, right? Because ISB's interview is quite, I would say, people get very anxious, people get very nervous, and you must have also been in that state, right? One is getting selected and getting the interview call would have been an exciting moment, but then comes the big challenge like, will I or will I not? You got one foot in the door, but you haven't really fully made it in, and you have all these anticipations building up. So, talk a little bit about how you got ready for the interview with LilacBuds.
Yes, as you mentioned, it was quite anxious because ISBs, there is no very much time between the interview when it is released that you are selected for the interview and the actual interview. So in my case, I think on Tuesday it came that I am selected for the interview, and on the next Sunday itself, so around 5 days I had for the preparation. So, but again, I think I had two mock interviews, one with Utkarsh and one with you. Both of them kind of helped me very much. The first one with Utkarshi, that was actually very helpful because when before that, when I went for IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore's interview, I didn't know what mistakes I was making while interviewing. So he helped me with the rate of speech, how much the answer should last for. It should not be very ongoing and it should not bore the interviewers. Secondly, he also mentioned what kind of mistakes I was making. Uh, Maybe about my voice, about my expressions. So that helped. I think in the second interview, which was with you, it was mostly about the situational questions that we discussed that day, because there is that new format before interview where I had to write essays. That actually helped me quite a lot because I don't know if you remember or not, but you mentioned some answers which you would write if you were in my position. And
Correct.
actually, the same four questions came on my interview day. So I remembered you when I was writing those answers. Man, Yash maybe knew about the questions which they were going, because exactly those at least the pattern was same, and so that helped me quite a lot. So yeah, the mock interviews definitely help because that lowers down your anxiety. It gives you confidence that yes, maybe you're prepared. You know what you have to work on. Because if you have no interviews before that, then you don't know what you are walking into. So that helped me quite a lot with the basic etiquettes that you need to follow the interview that were also discussed between me and Uttar. So that really helped me that day.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for the detailed update on that. But do remember the discussions that we had during the interview for sure, the interview prep. And it's very important to go with a manifestation, with a positive mindset, building your own confidence up. And our job as a counselor is mainly to ensure that we do our best to make you ready, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to go and shine out there in front of that interviewer. And while these interviews, like I think the ISB interview is one of the most grueling ones from compared to many other international schools as well, because they pick on every single point from your resume and will cross question you and tend to re-verify the facts in your CV. And all this, even though people have prepared a lot, they're not ready for the grilling sometimes, and that's what I think we really kind of do well at our end. Uh,
Yes.
Moving on, now that you're already at the ISB campus right now, it started so quick. Things have just happened quick, right? Not only was the interview quick, once you got your admit, you had to kind of enroll quickly as well. So you had a lot of things happening quickly. We never really got a chance to speak. But today, if you are giving an advice to somebody who's going to aim for round one applications or round two for next year, next year's intake, what would your advice be to future ISB applicants?
So yeah, what I have learned about my journey is that there is no one aspect. Like if someone is giving the GMAT and they are not able to crack it, maybe like an average score like me, they should not worry about not applying. What I've seen here is among my cohort as well, there are many people who are from diverse backgrounds. So what they look are not marks, but about the personality. Maybe a person who is, working right now and wants to apply, first of all, I believe they should focus on some maybe extracurriculars. Profile building is very important. So maybe they can join some social service, NGOs, or work on their profile. Second thing during that application is, I think essays are the most important in an application. So they should uh, try and work on their stories. They should try focusing on the impact and the leadership qualities, because that's what generally the people look for. And I think past we cannot change much, the scores and the profile. So we cannot do anything on that. Secondly, for the interview, I believe the interview is, as you mentioned, it's all about me and what I have written in my resume. So as you mentioned, they grilled me about my startup. The entire 50% of my interview was on my startup. So if you are being honest, if you are being true to yourself and in the application, then the interview will fly by. So just I will, if in one line I have to summarize, the person should just focus on profile building and be true to himself, and I think they will get through.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sumit, for that. Lovely chatting with you. Once again, thank you for being a part of our journey, and we are very happy to have been part of yours as well. And while you're on the ISB campus, keep shining, do the networking, do reach out, make sure that you're making the
Yes,
most of your 1 year there. And we hope to hear all amazing stories 6 months from now when you start getting your interview readiness going on at that point in time for job opportunities that you intend to take up. And the whole anxiety factor that you worked on so much for the ISB interviews, I hope all of those learnings will carry you through even in your job interviews and going ahead. All right.
yes.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Priyesh. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sumit. Take care. Bye.
Bye.